Marriage is supposed to be built on trust. But sometimes you realize the person you trusted the most is the one tearing it apart. I remember sitting across from my wife one evening, the glow of her phone lighting up her face as she nervously typed away. I asked her casually who she was texting, and she smiled faintly before saying she was planning a trip. At first, I thought she meant a work trip or maybe even something for herself, but then her words dropped like a bomb. "I'll be traveling with Anthony." Anthony wasn't just anyone. He was her ex, the one man I always knew lingered in her heart like a shadow. My chest tightened, my pulse raced. And in that moment, I understood that this wasn't just about a trip. It was about loyalty, respect, and the slow unraveling of our marriage. I sat there in silence, staring at her, waiting for her to clarify, waiting for her to tell me I had misheard. But she didn't. She repeated it with confidence, as if it was perfectly normal to announce that she would be spending days, maybe weeks, in close quarters with a man she once loved. My wife, my partner, my supposed confidant, looked at me like I was expected to simply nod and smile. Inside, anger battled with heartbreak, but I kept my composure. Years of patience and sacrifice taught me that sometimes silence is more powerful than shouting. She was testing me whether she realized it or not. And I refused to give her the satisfaction of seeing me lose control. I thought about all the times I had stood by her side, supporting her dreams, working long hours to ensure she had the life she wanted. Every sleepless night, every compromise, every sacrifice I made for our marriage flashed before me in seconds. And now she was standing there boldly choosing to reopen a chapter of her past without any regard for my feelings. Did she really believe I'd tolerate such disrespect? Did she think I was too weak, too dependent to call her out on it? My heart was breaking, but my pride, my self-respect was louder than my pain. When I finally spoke, I didn't yell. I didn't beg. I didn't demand an explanation. Instead, I leaned back, looked her directly in the eye, and gave her 2 words. "Don't worry." The simplicity of those words caught her off guard. She tilted her head, frowning, clearly confused by my calmness. But behind those 2 words was an ocean of meaning. What I really meant was, don't worry about me being here when you come back. Don't worry about this marriage surviving the choice you're making. Don't worry about me forgiving the betrayal you're about to commit. My reply was simple, but it struck her harder than any argument could. For the first time in years, I saw fear flicker in her eyes. She expected resistance, maybe even a fight, but she didn't expect cold acceptance. She didn't expect me to look so certain, so ready to let her walk out the door if that's what she truly wanted. I realized then that my silence and my restraint were more powerful than any explosion of anger. She wanted to test how much power she had over me. With just 2 words, I showed her she had none left. She tried to laugh it off, saying I was overreacting, that it was just a trip, and that she and Anthony were just friends now. But her excuses felt empty, hollow, and pathetic. The trembling in her voice betrayed her confidence. Deep down, she knew what she was doing was wrong, and my calmness exposed it. I didn't argue. I didn't push. I let the silence stretch between us, heavy and suffocating. Every second that passed made her realize that my 2 words weren't a joke. They were a warning. That night, she didn't sleep well. I could hear her shifting in bed, restless, her breathing uneven. Meanwhile, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, already planning my next steps. I knew I wouldn't stop her from going if she decided to. I also knew I wouldn't be there when she returned. My dignity was worth more than any marriage that demanded I accept being second to another man. She had already chosen where her heart leaned, and I wasn't going to compete. In the morning, she tried again to convince me, this time with softer words. She said she needed space to rediscover herself and that the trip would help her gain clarity. I almost laughed at the irony. She didn't need clarity. She needed honesty. She wasn't searching for herself. She was searching for the excitement she thought she'd lost. But in chasing that, she was throwing away the stability and love I had built for her again. I simply smiled and repeated, "Don't worry." This time, she didn't argue. She just sat there stunned, her coffee untouched, her hands trembling slightly. By the end of the week, her suitcase was packed, but her confidence was gone. My 2 words had burrowed into her mind, haunting her with questions. She realized that maybe I wasn't the one losing something. Maybe she was, and she was right. The moment she walked out the door with Anthony, I would walk out of her life for good. My silence, my calmness, my refusal to fight. It was the loudest declaration of independence I had ever made. In the end, she didn't go. She unpacked her bag quietly, avoiding my eyes, the weight of her choices heavy on her shoulders. But the damage was already done. Our marriage could never be the same after that conversation. Those 2 words, "Don't worry," were the beginning of the end. They weren't just a reply to her betrayal. They were a statement of strength, of self-respect, of a man who refused to be humiliated. And though she stayed, I knew in my heart I had already